12 skeletons. That's where this story begins. Not with a legend, but with the stark, silent reality of human bone. For 2 millennia, they rested in absolute darkness, their existence a secret kept by the stone itself. They were found hidden beneath the most famous facade in all of Petra, a place the world thought it knew. But this discovery changes everything. It peels back the postcard image to reveal something far more intimate and mysterious. A legend has turned into a crime scene, and we are the forensic investigators, arriving 2,000 years late. The question isn't just who these people were, but what story their bones have been waiting to tell. This is Chapter 1, The Discovery. To understand the discovery, you first have to understand the place. Petra. The name itself conjures images of a lost city, carved from rock, and the journey in is part of the magic. You walk through the Seek, a narrow gorge over a kilometer long, with sandstone walls that soar hundreds of feet high. They twist and turn, hiding the city from the outside world. The path is a natural defense, a dramatic overture. And then it happens. The canyon opens just enough, and you get your first glimpse of Alcazne, the treasury. It's a breathtaking moment, a masterpiece of theatrical architecture designed to impress, to awe, and to intimidate. It's no wonder this place has captured the human imagination for centuries. If this place looks familiar, it should. Indiana Jones ran right past this exact facade in The Last Crusade, searching for the Holy Grail. But here's the twist. It's not a temple of booby traps. The reality is far more impressive. So who built this marvel? Who were the Nabateans? They were masters of the desert. Originally a nomadic tribe, they discovered that the real wealth wasn't in conquest, but in control. They settled at the crossroads of the ancient world and became the gatekeepers of the lucrative incense and spice routes that stretched from southern Arabia to the Mediterranean. Frankincense and myrrh, worth more than gold, passed through their hands. They taxed the caravans, provided safe passage, and offered water in a land that had none. Their superpower wasn't war, it was logistics. They engineered an astonishing water system, carving channels and cisterns deep into the rock to capture every drop of flash flood rainfall. They could sustain a thriving city of 20,000 people in the middle of the desert. Petra wasn't just their capital, it was their billboard, a statement of wealth, power, and cosmic order, all broadcast in stone. And the treasury was their finest advertisement. Stand in front of it, and it feels enormous, impossibly grand. That's not an accident. The design is a brilliant exercise in forced perspective. The Nabatean architects borrowed styles from across their trading empire, Greek, Roman, Egyptian, and fused them into something new. They carved towering columns with slim, elongated proportions. They layered broken pediments and added deep, dramatic shadows that stretch every vertical line, tricking your eye into seeing even greater height. Your brain reads skyscraper, even though the building is only about 40 meters tall. The facade is rich with symbolism. Figures of gods and goddesses, eagles to carry souls to the afterlife, and twin horsemen, Castor and Pollux, protectors of travelers. It was a message to every visitor. We are sophisticated, we are powerful, and we are divinely protected. Now, imagine carving this. Not building it, but carving it. The entire facade is monolithic, sculpted directly from a sheer sandstone cliff. No bricks, no mortar, and likely no complex scaffolding left behind. The Nabatean masons were masters of subtraction. Teams started from the very top, chiseling a foothold and working their way downward. This ingenious method meant that falling debris was never an issue. It simply fell away from the work area below. They used simple iron tools, but their precision was extraordinary. Every line, every curve, every intricate detail had to be perfect the first time. In stone, there is no undo button. One slip of the chisel, one miscalculation, and a flaw would be etched into the monument forever. The delicate Corinthian capitals, the soaring eagles, the dancing vines, each element is a testament to a workforce with incredible skill, patience, and nerve. After the overwhelming grandeur of the exterior, the inside of the treasury is a shock. You step through the colossal doorway into a space that is shockingly small and starkly plain. Just a few simple, undecorated chambers carved from the rock. More chamber than palace. For years, this puzzled archaeologists. Why create such an elaborate facade for such a simple interior? The name treasury is a misnomer, a legend spun by local Bedouins who believed an Egyptian pharaoh hid his treasure in the urn at the top. The real purpose was almost certainly funerary. This was a mausoleum, likely for a Nabatean king or queen. The main chamber wasn't for living, it was for ritual. Imagine the acoustics in this stone box. Chants, prayers, and music would have echoed with an otherworldly resonance. The space was designed not for crowds, but for sacred ceremonies honoring the powerful individual entombed here. For decades, we thought the story ended there, a magnificent, empty royal tomb. But in 2024, a new chapter began. Archaeologists had long suspected that the plaza in front of the treasury, smoothed by millions of tourist footsteps, might hide more secrets. Using non-invasive survey techniques like ground-penetrating radar, they detected anomalies beneath the surface. After securing permits and carefully planning the excavation to minimize impact, they began to dig. Layer by layer, they peeled back the stratigraphy, the history of the Earth. They sifted through centuries of sand, flood deposits, and tourist-era gravel. And then, they hit it. Not treasure, but something far more valuable, the edge of a carved stone structure. It was a tomb. A 2,000-year-old tomb, sealed and undisturbed, right under the world's nose. They had found a sealed chamber, a time capsule from the height of Nabatean power. Inside, the team found the remains of not one, but a dozen people. The field of osteology, the study of bones, allows us to give these individuals a voice. The first step is determining the minimum number of individuals, or MNI. By counting specific bones like the left femur or the skull, they confirmed at least 12 distinct people were buried here. From the shape of the pelvis and the size of the skull, they can estimate sex. From the length of long bones, they can estimate height. And from the fusion of bone plates and the wear on teeth, they can estimate age at death. The initial analysis suggests a mix of adult males and females, and even some children. This wasn't just one king. Was it a family? A group of high-status individuals? Or victims of a single, tragic event? The bones also hold clues about their lives. Signs of arthritis speak of physical labor, while healed fractures tell stories of past injuries. The dead were not sent into the afterlife empty-handed. The tomb was filled with grave goods, objects intended to accompany them on their final journey. Archaeologists uncovered beautiful Nabatean pottery, thin-walled and elegantly painted. They found oil lamps, which would have lit the tomb during funeral rites before being extinguished for eternity. And they found personal adornments, beads made of glass and carnelian, bronze ankle bracelets, and other fragments of jewelry. Each object is a clue. The style of the pottery helps date the burial. The materials used for the jewelry can indicate the reach of Nabatean trade. Were these beads made locally, or did they come from Egypt or Mesopotamia? The presence of unguentaria, small glass or ceramic bottles, suggests that precious oils and perfumes were part of the ritual, their scent filling the chamber one last time. These items turn the skeletons from anonymous remains into people who lived, who valued beauty, and who believed in a life beyond this one. But the investigation is just beginning. Today, a powerful scientific toolkit can extract information unimaginable just a generation ago. Ancient DNA, aDNA analysis, carefully extracted from the petrous bone of the inner ear, could reveal the genetic relationships between the individuals. Were they a family, as the group burial might suggest? Isotope analysis is another key. The elements in the food we eat and the water we drink become permanently recorded in our teeth and bones. Strontium isotopes can reveal the geology of the region where a person grew up, telling us if they were local to Petra or an immigrant from a distant land. Carbon and nitrogen isotopes can reconstruct their diet. Were they eating wheat and barley, or did they have access to more luxurious foods? And radiocarbon dating of the bones themselves will provide a precise timeline for when these people lived and died, anchoring them firmly in history. So what do 12 skeletons add to the story of Petra? They turn a postcard into a time capsule. The data from the bones, the goods, and the tomb itself allows us to build competing hypotheses. One theory is that this was a family tomb, used over several generations. The different locations of the bodies, some in prepared niches and others on the floor, might indicate a sequence of burials. This would suggest a high-status family with a lasting connection to the treasury, perhaps the very family that commissioned it. Another more dramatic possibility is a single catastrophic event, a plague, a conflict, or even a building collapse that required a mass burial. The seemingly hasty placement of some bodies could support this idea. The science will help us test these theories. DNA will confirm or deny a family lineage. Isotope analysis will show if they all shared a common origin and diet. For now, they remain a profound mystery, a snapshot of life and death at the heart of the Nabatean kingdom. This discovery underscores the immense responsibility we have as custodians of the past. Petra is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but it is a fragile one. The same soft sandstone that made these incredible carvings possible also makes them vulnerable to wind, water, and time. And the pressure of modern tourism, with millions of visitors each year, adds another layer of challenge. Every footstep, every touch, has an impact. The 2024 excavation was a model of careful, respectful archaeology, but it highlights the constant tension between discovery and preservation. How do we continue to learn from this incredible site without loving it to death? The answer lies in sustainable tourism, ongoing conservation work, and treating the entire city not as a backdrop for photos, but as what it is, a vast, sacred burial ground, a place of deep human history. The 12 skeletons beneath the treasury have given us a rare gift. They have reminded us that behind the monumental architecture and the grand history, there are always individual human lives. They were people who walked these canyons, who traded and built, who loved and mourned. This tomb is not the end of a story, but the beginning of a new one. As scientists continue their work, they will follow the clues locked in bone and artifact, piecing together a forgotten narrative from the heart of the rose-red city, half as old as time. The facade tells the story of a kingdom's power, but the bones, they tell the story of its people. You know that famous treasury in Petra? The one on every postcard? The one that seems to materialize from the very rock as you emerge from the shadows of the sick canyon? For centuries, its name, Al-Khazna, has fueled imaginations. It whispers of untold riches, of a pharaoh's treasure supposedly hidden within that stone urn perched high above the entrance. It's a powerful, romantic image, but it's also a complete fabrication. It was never a treasury. The name and the legend came much later, likely from local Bedouin tribes who, seeing this magnificent structure, spun tales of hidden gold. You can even see the pockmarks on the urn where people have fired guns at it, hoping to shatter it and release the fortune within. But the truth is far more profound. This wasn't a bank vault, it was a tomb. The Nabateans, the ingenious Arab traders who built this city, carved it around the 1st century AD as a royal mausoleum, most likely for their king, Arida IV. Every detail on this facade wasn't designed to guard gold, but to guide a soul. The intricate carvings, a blend of Nabatean deities and figures from the Greco-Roman world like Amazons and the twin gods Castor and Pollux, were symbols of protection and power in the afterlife. This was a monument to power, a statement of wealth and cultural sophistication, and a gateway to eternity. The real treasure wasn't gold, but the story of the people who could command the desert and carve a metropolis from solid rock. And to understand them, we have to look beyond this famous facade and see the city for what it truly was, a living machine carved into stone. The Nabateans were masters of a landscape others found uninhabitable. Originally a nomadic tribe, they emerged from the Arabian desert around the 4th century BC. They didn't conquer with armies, but with economic savvy. They identified the choke points of the ancient world's most lucrative trade, the routes carrying frankincense and myrrh from Yemen to the wealthy ports of the Mediterranean. By controlling the water sources along these arid paths, they controlled the trade itself. Caravans laden with spices, silks, and perfumes had to pay for safe passage and provisions. Petra, hidden within its labyrinth of protective canyons, became their fortress capital and the bustling nexus of this global commerce. But how do you support a thriving city of up to 30,000 people in a place that receives less than 6 inches of rain a year? You become the world's most brilliant water engineers. Look closely at the walls of the sick as you walk. Beneath your feet, an invisible web of channels, pipes, and cisterns form the city's circulatory system. The Nabateans didn't just find water, they harvested it from the sky. Every drop of the rare desert rain was captured. They carved thousands of cisterns directly into the sandstone, capable of storing millions of gallons of water. They understood hydrology better than almost anyone. They knew that flash floods, a deadly threat in this landscape, could be tamed. Engineers shaped the rock to slow the violent torrents, creating stair-stepped runoff channels that directed the flow into settling basins. These basins allowed silt and debris to sink before the clean water was funneled into the main cisterns. They even created pressurized water systems using terracotta pipes, allowing them to move water uphill and supply public fountains, bathhouses, and lush gardens. This water was then tucked away into cool, sealed chambers, protected from the sun's evaporation. In the desert, water is power, and Petra stored it like a bank vault. This mastery of water is what allowed life, luxury, and commerce to flourish in the heart of the arid wilderness. Walk a little further from the treasury, and the canyon walls open up into a vast necropolis, a cemetery of ideas. The entire landscape is a testament to a culture deeply concerned with death, memory, and status. The tombs here are not uniform. They are a timeline written in stone. The earliest, from around the 4th century BC, are simple pylon or step tombs, reflecting native Nabatean and Assyrian influences. But as Petra grew wealthy from trade, its architecture began to speak an international language. You see the arrival of Hellenistic influences, with classical columns, pediments, and motifs borrowed from cities like Alexandria. Later, after Rome annexed the kingdom in 106 AD, you see the adoption of Grand Roman architectural styles. The tomb facades advertised a family's lineage, their wealth, and their connection to the wider world. The bigger and more ornate the tomb, the more important the family. Inside, however, the story was different. While the exteriors were for public display, the interiors guarded the quiet logistics of eternity. They were often simple, unadorned chambers with niches carved into the walls for bodies. Rituals, including memorial feasts, would take place in front of the tombs, reinforcing family bonds and social standing. This obsession with the afterlife created the monumental landscape we see today. For all that is visible, archaeologists estimate that we have only uncovered about 15% of Petra. The rest of the city, its residential neighborhoods, its markets, its industrial areas, remains buried beneath the sand. So how do we read a city that is still half buried without destroying it? The answer lies in seeing the invisible. We do it with technologies like ground-penetrating radar, or GPR. Archaeologists systematically sweep courtyards and wadis, sending radio waves into the earth. These waves bounce off buried structures, creating a map of what lies beneath. It's like an X-ray for an entire city, allowing us to trace the outlines of hidden streets, workshops, and even reservoirs, all without lifting a single stone. Other technologies, like LiDAR, use laser pulses from drones or planes to map the surface with millimeter accuracy, cutting through vegetation to reveal subtle man-made features on the landscape that are invisible to the naked eye. Together, these tools have revolutionized our understanding of Petra's urban plan, revealing a far larger and more complex city than ever imagined, including a monumental platform and gardens previously unknown, hiding in plain sight. And yet, with all this technology, so much remains unexplored. Why don't we just dig it all up? The reasons are complex and critical. First, there are strict preservation laws. Petra is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and any excavation is a slow, painstaking, and deliberate process. Second, the very material of the city is its greatest vulnerability. The beautiful rose-red sandstone is incredibly fragile and susceptible to erosion from wind, rain, and salt crystallization. Exposing buried structures can accelerate their decay dramatically. Then there is the issue of limited funding. Scientific archaeology is expensive and time-consuming, but most importantly, there is a simple, profound rule. Once you dig, you can't put it back. Excavation is destruction. Every dig must be justified, as it removes the context forever. Future archaeologists with better technology may be able to learn more from an undisturbed site than we can today. Add the reality of shifting sands and seasonal flash floods that can bury or unearth entire areas overnight, and you understand why Petra keeps her secrets so well. The sand that hides the city is also, in a way, protecting it. So the next time you see an image of the treasury, remember the truth behind the myth. It is a tomb, a masterpiece of funerary art. Remember that the city it belongs to didn't run on gold, but on rain, captured and controlled by engineering genius. And remember that the ground itself still whispers, holding the stories of a lost civilization that we are only just beginning to understand. In the rose-red city half as old as time, the real headline isn't treasure, it's the enduring power of human ingenuity, engineering, and memory, etched into the very fabric of the desert. The greatest discoveries here are not about what was buried, but about how it was built, and how we can preserve it for the future. The story of Petra is far from over. With every scan, every careful survey, and every new understanding of its past, we follow the water, the trade routes, and the ghosts of the Nabateans deeper into the heart of their incredible world.